good? How's everybody? This is Brate Podcast back at it again. Been a little quiet, been a little bit away, but y'all know when I come in, I bring the vengeance, I bring the noise, I bring the pain. So, without any further ado, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. A lot of topics to share. Want to not leave anything behind. Want to make sure I get everything that's put out there discussed and addressed, because I know sometimes when we do things like this, it can be a few stories can kind of get lost in the trenches. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. Fantasy, first things first. Fantasy league, I did a great job failing. I let everybody down. The truth of the matter is, I honestly was a little slackish on my entries, as well as starters and sitters and stuff like that. So I'm taking full responsibility for that. I did get some players added, looking to have a trade proposed to me. I need to look at the trade, who's involved, see if it's a beneficial trade, things of that sort. I mean, I'm last place, so kind of now I'm just there because I'm happy to be there. So doing what I can, making it all work out and let it just come together. So I want to at least give y'all that update. Now for my picks, and normally I have pen and paper ready, or I usually have my actual sheet. Don't have my sheet today. Apologies on that, because I had to kind of improv a little bit. This week I will be literally picking on blind faith, because I don't normally. I kind of have a little bit of my research. I guess you can call it my research and development on teams and on who's playing and how it's gonna look. So I'm just gonna pick these out and let them all work out and let it be what it is. First matchup tonight, since I am not watching the game yet. Falcons and Bucks going to take, and looks, I mean, so it's kind of interesting because I picked a source that I normally wouldn't pick, and it's showing like who everyone else is picking, like the experts. And what I wish I could do, which I probably can't, well, actually, you know what, I can. I think I'm gonna do it. Hold on, because I'm real particular about stuff like this. I don't want to know what anybody else chose. I just want to be known who I'm going for. So first game, Falcons, Buccaneers, won Falcons. Jets, Dolphins, gonna pick Dolphins. Come on, y'all gotta let me down. I mean, y'all gotta give me some hope somewhere along the line. Eagles, Giants, should be Eagles. Coming off of that loss against Dallas, they should wake up. Lions, Vikings, 2 losses has me a little concerned. So I'm going to pick the Lions, and I'm just going to stand behind it. Cowboys and Browns, unless some crazy scenario happens, I'm going Cowboys. Jags and Chiefs, should be a shoo-in for the Chiefs, even if Smith doesn't play. Shouldn't be a problem. Steelers, Ravens, going to go Steelers despite them playing in Baltimore. Carolina and St. Louis, interesting matchup, but I'm going against the grain, and I see it's only one who's against this option, but I'm going Carolina. New Orleans and San Fran. I'll go ahead and make my bold prediction and pick the 49ers. Colts and Packers, unless something crazy happens, should be Packers. And it's in Green Bay. Tennessee and the Lightning Bolts. Chargers should be pretty good in that matchup. And the Sunday night game, Denver and Oakland, going to go a surprise pick and pick Denver. And the Monday night game, unless something crazy or outrageously extreme happens, I'm going to go ahead and pick Seattle. So those are my picks for this week. Your thoughts, if you agree, disagree, think I'm just picking crazy like I always do. It's just something that I do, and it kind of just happens the way it does, so it is what it is. But I want to go ahead and get those in before I forgot, and yeah. So I got a different spin on this a little bit, because I've sit and looked at, do I want to break down these stories involving the players? Do I want to look at the rivalries? I'm going to save the rivalries for last for the sports section, and then I'll jump into my next topic from there. So, Josh Brown, who was the former kicker for the Giants. I don't know if anybody knows or has been made aware. He was involved in a domestic dispute involving his wife, now ex-wife. It kind of came to surface, and because of that, the league has been kind of indifferent as to what to do or how to handle it. But they're kind of being put in the position of, I mean, it's here, so you got to face it. And now they've kind of had to be forced to look at it and just kind of accept it for what it is. And yeah, it's been a joy. So I think it's a tough thing when you put a team in a place where they have to answer questions about something that you don't have much information about. And then it's even worse because it's just bad timing. But I think what's tough about it is no one feels it's right that he should still have a chance to play in the league when a lot of players have done similar, and it's been kind of just shunned and not acknowledged. So I'm wanting nothing but the best for him, but I also feel like if the league is going to be fair, then to be fair across the board. That's truly where I'm at. The next story, I'm kind of giving the Josh Brown story a brief eye because it's like it happened. It's been behind us for a while, and it is what it is. So the next story is about another Josh Gordon, who stories are stating that he's no longer going to be with the Browns. He's going to be released, and a lot of teams they're wanting to see if any teams want to pick him up or if he really has a chance of playing, because he's kind of been getting on the right track, but he's kind of been doing things here and there that haven't been showing that he really wants to be in the NFL. So the Bills have kind of come up as a speculation or a rumor to possibly get him, but that's on a we'll see what happens type of thing. I'm kind of talking about his story because at one point we didn't hear about him at all, and then out of nowhere it's where is his future? What will he do with himself? Does he have a chance? Only thing that I'm worried about with him, the first thing I think of with him is Justin Blackmon, and if a lot of you don't know him, he was a wideout for the Jacksonville Jaguars who was supposed to be like the guy, and he just never he never had that chance to break. And I think it's tough because in Josh Gordon's case, you know, he was doing music videos, he had other little stuff here and there going on, and that kind of you would have thought catapulted him, but he really wasn't in the place to handle what was to come, I guess. So I just want to talk about that story real brief because I have seen it and I kind of had a cue to discuss, and it was a story that did kind of hit the news. And it happened, so it was what it was. I don't have this one as a tab. Well, I'm sorry. Before I do that, let me do two other things, and then I'll jump on my other one. I caught a few exhibition matches, or kind of been getting some exhibition highlights from a few teams. I actually watched Kentucky play. I'm sorry. Let me rewind. I've been catching up on college basketball, and from what I can tell, we have an interesting season to look forward to when it comes to college basketball. And the only reason I say that the way I do is because they are truly teams are building for this year. It's literally not even about next season because it's already being evident that most of the guys who are freshmen will likely be one and done. One of them being De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. I think Bam Adebayo will be a one and done. I got to see Lonzo Ball play for UCLA in their preseason game. Miles Bridges for Michigan State looks pretty good. Josh Jackson looks very raw, and I mean he was raw when he was in high school, but he really looks raw at Kansas. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes because there's stories and speculation that he might go be a one and done. We'll that's all a matter of what the team does and how he's prepared or put into place of going to the NBA, because not every player pans out NBA, quote unquote NBA ready. I'm trying to think of many other big names, any other guys who have looked that I've caught. I caught some Duke highlights. I really haven't seen everybody that I want to see yet. I want to see what Jason Tatum looks like because I'm really looking forward to him. Harry Giles as well. I would love to see NC State. I'm excited because it's going to be coincidental that NC State and Duke and North Carolina all have a lot of guys, a lot of guards who are down in that area. and they'll all get to play against each other. So that's going to be something to look forward to down the line. Trying to think if I missed anyone or anything. Let's see, I had that. Yeah, so I've kind of I just want to give a brief stint or a brief story about the college world and the college scene with basketball, because it's pretty much among us. VCU is, I think they're 1 day away from starting their season, so they'll probably be doing some exhibition games, and then they'll get right into their non-conference schedule before they start playing their Atlantic 10 action. Didn't have a tab, don't see a need to have a tab, but the curse has been broken. A few years ago, I think it's been almost 10 years now, if I'm not mistaken, the Boston Red Sox broke their curse, the curse of the Bambino and the whole Babe Ruth madness and all that, but they've since won 2 or 3 championships, and it's kind of been a good deal, a good thing for them. Last night, the Cubs pulled off the unthinkable. They were down 3-1 against the Cleveland Indians. I'm sorry, I'm having a lot going on, as y'all can tell if you can hear about the random sound effects. But Cleveland blew the 3-1 lead. Chicago came back, won 3 straight, finished it off in Cleveland, might I add. And this is the thing, and this is what makes it just so coincidental and so unique. Because if you look at a few months ago when Golden State played Cleveland, Cleveland had to come back and win 3 straight. But the key part of that is not just winning in 3 straight, but they also had to win Game 7 in Golden State, which was not going to be easy. But somehow they still did it. And all I can say is just it was nothing but them going all out and doing their best and bringing their A game. So it was what it was, and it turned out being a good matchup. A lot of friends who were in my sports group were a little upset because they really wanted to see Cleveland finish it off, but it was Chicago's time. And I mean, 108-year drought can't do nothing but accept it for what it is. I mean, you had a 60-something year drought with Cleveland winning a championship in their home. Cleveland winning another championship wouldn't have been a bad thing, but it was just that time. It just worked out and went the way it did. So, big props to the Chicago Cubs for pulling off that victory. Now, my favorite story of sports, and then I'm going to give a brief release because I've been looking at it a little bit, and I'll kind of talk about that, and then talk about a couple other techie topics, and then we'll kind of cap it off. So I didn't share. One of my friends posted in our sports group that I manage on Facebook, and the statement was, finish the sentence, greatest rivalry in sports is. This topic is a never-ending discussion because there are so many rivalries that get attention, and there are a lot of rivalries that don't get attention. So my answer, because I saw the status, and as soon as I read it, I jumped on it immediately. I put North Carolina and Duke when it comes to basketball. Now, football, of course, is not even the same, but I had North Carolina and Duke. A couple of answers that were given, which I thought all were just spot on. Let's see. Yankees and Red Sox, Michigan and Ohio State. That's primarily in football. A little bit in basketball, but not as much. The Hoyas, Georgetown and Syracuse, Ravens and Steelers. Of course, you can't mention rivalries without Dallas and Washington in football. Some people had an honorable mention, Dallas and Giants. Lakers and Celtics is a legit one. And let's see. Yeah, those are the main ones I had. So those were the ones that were shared in the group. Now, I'm going to go to a different site that I found that had a couple of rivalries that were more known. Of course, number one shoe-in was Yankees, Red Sox. 2 was Real Madrid and Barcelona. Whenever they play, that's a one-time game, and usually when it comes on, it gets a lot of attention. Of course, Michigan, Ohio State was already said. Indian versus Pakistan is cricket. We're not even going to try. Celtics, Lakers were mentioned. Duke versus Carolina was mentioned. Auburn and Alabama is a definite under the radar because that's a true battle of in Alabama that a lot of people take don't take lightly. Liverpool and Man U, soccer based. Of course, I'm gonna be my soccer guy and trick it up and saying Liverpool and Chelsea. Whenever they play, it's kind of a big deal. Packers and Bears is another one. In football, if you want to go hockey, Bruins and Canadians. Tennis, yes, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. Peyton and Tom Brady always. Colts versus Patriots. Now this kind of was the case when Manning was there, but it kind of changed because literally it was the Manning and Brady Bowl. Manning versus Brady Bowl was the setup for a while. Seahawks and 49ers is a pretty good one. But it's a lot of rivalries that you'd be surprised get quite the fair amount of attention. Of course, college basketball, Kentucky, Louisville. Back in the day, Russell Chamberlain, can't forget that one. Of course, Battle of the Chicago's, White Sox and Cubs. Back in the day, for a while it was Bulls against the Knicks. I would say Knicks against the Heat. If you really keep up with hoops a little bit, let's see. It said Bulls versus Lakers, but I wouldn't really see that one. Yankees and Mets, of course, across New York, the rivals. NBA, you can kind of do the whole Brooklyn and Knicks, Brooklyn Nets and New York Knicks. It's there, but it's not there, if that's a good way to say it. It has its peak points, but it doesn't get as much attention. So, kind of claim that one for what it is. But I've named a few rivalries. I want to hear from you all, like, what are some rivalries that stand out to you in sports? If you have any other than the ones that I've mentioned, please share them. If you are listening or listening to this recording and checking it out, I'd love to get some feedback on that one. So I wanted to share that story because it was kind of a little bit of a big deal to me, and it was a little random and something a little different. So just wanted to do that. Now I'm going to try to condense this podcast as best as I can with what I'm going to talk about. Next, I'm almost tempted to do. Okay, before I do that, let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and talk about my other story first because I want to save this because I feel like this portion might take up a good amount of time in the podcast. And you'll see why when I discuss it or when I address it. If you're looking at everything and you're like, okay, what's left and what is he going to talk about? So, first story, November 11th, Veterans Day, oddly enough. Nintendo is bringing out the NES Classic Edition. So, I'm a little ahead with this one, but I wanted to share it early, and you'll see why in a moment. So it was talked about in the summer, if not sooner, that Nintendo was going to be bringing a retro, giving the gamers their retro feel back, I guess is the best way for me to say it. They are taking the original Nintendo system, making it smaller, more portable, adding 2 ports on it that are similar to the ports that are on the Wiimotes for the Wii U and the original Wii. And you can hook up retro Nintendo controllers. And on this system, it has the option or the ability to play 30 games. Inside the kit, you get the classic system. It has 1 controller, an HDMI, AC adapter, and it has 30 games pre-installed. Now, before I continue, I'm impressed and I'm intrigued, but I'm upset. And I'm upset only because there was one game that I would have wished they had, but it doesn't have. And I think it's because I'm just that biased and I'm just that backwards that I feel like it should have been included. They left Tetris off. Now, some people may look at that and look at me and say, well, Brian, that's very petty for you to look at it that way. But in my defense, I don't see why I wouldn't get Tetris as one of the games. It's a feature that would have been good to do, but they didn't do it, and I understand it's like it is what it is. But if they had added like an actual like Wi-Fi based to get pull games from Nintendo Shop, things like that. I think you can always go that next level. I like the feature that they're adding where you can change the aspect ratio so you can give it the look of the classic system from the original, when you played it on the CRT television, or if you want to play it in high definition, or if you want to play it in the box, what I call the box view. All of those options are there and available. Now, one defense, and somebody just put this as a review, so it's a win-win in a sense, because it's you for the 30 games that you're getting, give or take price wise, you're looking at about $150. So I'm with that, and I'm all for it. I just think they left themselves a little short on the games that were available. Let me see. I'm checking one thing, and I'm probably going to assume it's a no. Another example, Contra. You should have had Contra. But I get it. If you want games like that, that's where you buy an actual Nintendo and you go and play them. But they do give you, on the other side of it, you get Mario 1. You get Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario Brothers 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3. You actually get Mario Brothers, which a lot of people didn't know about or never even played. You get the classic Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, Tecmo Bowl. Is games that are there, but then it's those other games that you're like, oh man, that would have been good if they added these games. Like, I have a feeling what they're going to do, and I can't forecast this for them, but it would be a good idea, is to take that 30, push it to 50, and give like the legit 50 games that a lot of, and make those 20 like user options that people would like on it. I can state from a blind perspective, there will be a vast majority of people who are going to want to have Tetris on there. The thing that I like, and I'm also sharing this story for a reason, because it's going to be interesting when it actually gets its proper credit and its proper attention and is out there for streaming, where you'll see a lot of gamers who play on Twitch start pushing these games, because I think these games will give you the viewers, or give you the viewership to get going. I know for me, I've randomly gone online and played like retro Nintendo or whatever the case may be, and I love it. So it's only your preference, and all of if it's a thing or something you prefer to do. So I'm leaving that story, and I'm going to try to cap off with a good ending to this podcast. And the only reason I'm defining it as a good ending is because it just would be the only way, or the simplest way to do so. There was a new Apple that was released. Apple did their keynote this weekend. I'm sorry, not this weekend, last week. And I won't get into the other updates and enhancements. The main one that I want to talk about was the MacBook Pro. And what I will be doing is I'm going to talk about the MacBook Pro, but I'm going to talk about the MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar. So there was a new Mac that was introduced, and they've decided, as far as your function keys, they're gone. A lot of people are going to like it. A lot of people aren't going to be too fond of it. What they've done is, because the Mac has been out for 25 years, it's kind of a new thing where they're taking the touch bar that's at the top of your keyboard, and it's going to be an interactive touchscreen that will kind of remove the function keys, which will give you more options and opportunities to use it for other things, such as you can make emojis on it. You can manage, like if you're working on any Final Cut Pro information or doing any video editing, you can do it all with this touch bar. Now, the next thing that they bring up is the thing that I'm going to talk about. That's probably why I really wanted to share this podcast, or why I really wanted to go about talking about this story. They're bringing something that Windows has already had, that their Apple devices have already had, and now they're just bringing it to the MacBook, and that is Touch ID. So Touch ID is going to be multi-base purpose for a few things. The initial purpose, which I think for most people would be good, is going to be kind of like the gift and the curse, because you'll be able to use it to log into your computer. It's a gift because now you don't have to remember your password, but it's a curse because if your fingerprint happened to be one of those, if it happened to have one of those moments of those days where it doesn't pick up like it's supposed to, then you can't sign in if you don't know your actual password. So you could be screwed there. So that's just something I'm thinking about, or something that kind of crossed my mind. But they've added the chip to the Touch ID also. If it's from your main account that you have linked on Apple TV, on iTunes or whatever the case may be, now you can just do your Touch ID. Boom, you paid for your item, and it's a lot more convenient in that regard. Need to see this Mac in person, so I guess if my sister is listening, we may have to make an Apple Store run one day. And I think if I look at it, get the touch and feel of it, and see what it's all about, I can kind of give a better overview of whether it's a go or whether it's a no-no. And that's where I'm at. Professional applications get updates, so they're going to have more updates regarding how to use the touch bar. They've pushed it. They're more so pushing it towards things such as Photoshop, DJ Pro. They're possibly going to blend it in with Microsoft Office. So that means you'll probably have to get later versions or newer versions of those programs, which, it's almost like we'll have to see how it goes when we get down that that road. Now they have they're doing the 5K displays, so you can get a better viewing. Apple sidelines the MacBook Air. So they also presented the MacBook Air as well, because that was so everything I've discussed now is the MacBook Pro. The Pro is basically going to be with your Touch ID, Touch Bar, no function keys, and then if you need those function keys, and if you really are trying to get what you want, they're going to be giving you the 13-inch MacBook Air. Now, one thing I want to say about this before I continue, and this is, if it's anything that I like about the new Macs that they aren't mentioning, but it's kind of my perk. I have a MacBook Pro. I have an older MacBook Pro, but I like the fact that the touchpad is a little larger, because it gives you more space to kind of work with when you're using and surfing and doing stuff like that. So that's a big deal, and that's kind of okay for me. Apple TV introduced the TV app, so that got a lot of attention as well. They did give you the let's see. So now here's what so I'm going to talk about this because this is important, and this probably is going to be my emotional tear. And I'm going to read this I'm on the Verge website. It says, along with the new products comes the death of certain features. RIP function keys, potentially. MagSafe, if you don't know, or anyone who doesn't have a Mac, basically when you charge your laptop, it makes it so pretty much when you want to charge it, you just take you literally take your cord that you're going to use to charge. When you put it near that area, it literally just pops right in. It plugs in with you probably hear it in a second. Hold on. Yeah, it's very easy to use, and it fits it like it's meant to fit it. So I like it. There's no SD card slot, so you gotta say goodbye to that. A lot of people don't use SD card slots anyway, but those are a few features that you're gonna be sacrificing. We might miss you after we stop staring at our new touch bar. So I wanted to give my views and my thoughts about that. And a lot of people may not be fond of what I have to say about it. I'm not going to sit and say that Apple made a bad move doing this. That's not where I'm at. That's not how I feel. But I also feel like it's a new approach, because what they're doing now is Apple is introducing new things that they feel are going to work for their consumers. So a lot of the consumers are going to like a lot of things. A lot of consumers are going to be in their feelings about a lot of things. For instance, I was in training today, and someone mentioned about how they don't like the new iPhone because it doesn't have the headphone jack. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have a headphone jack, I can't function. And you mean to tell me all I got is this one port? I got to plug in my phone, or I can plug in my headset that comes with the phone, or use Bluetooth. And when they were talking about the prices of the earpods or AirPods or whatever they're called, the price that they gave is not the price that they cost. And also, because of this feature, a lot of third-party companies such as JBL, Beats by Dre, Bose, Skull Candy, all of these companies are coming out winning only because now they can say, hey, we have wired headsets for those who have wired devices. But for all of you Apple fans and all you folks who use your Apple devices 24/7, here's here's a Bluetooth headset. So it's a win on that end. But I just wanted to at least touch base and talk about that because I knew it came out, it saw, it conquered, but I didn't really give it any feedback, so I wanted to at least talk about it. Oh, and this is a random thing, and I saw this in an article, and I'm going to share this with y'all. If anyone has an iPhone 7, I'm not sure if this applies with the 7 Plus, but with the iPhone 7, there have been problems with using the home button with the haptic feedback, where it's kind of giving itself a hard time and not working like it's supposed to. Well, Apple has fixed that on a lot of devices by now having an actual home button show up on your phone, and you just would touch that. So you're getting the alternative, but you just want to, in the event that you may have a problem with the home button, if you see that, if you give it time, if the update is on your phone, try that and you should be good to go. But I just want to give that little techie tidbit as well. So that's what I have, and I'm enjoying what I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the podcast here. As always, social plugs. If you're not following already, Brate Podcast, posting every week, content information for days. I sat back on y'all, but I'm coming back because I got some sports stuff I really want to talk about next week. I'm gonna see how they're doing so far because just to kind of throw a blind plug in, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 4-0, and they play tonight. So I'm going to leave that game, see what happens if Golden State can pull off the cheat code and win. We might have a different story, but otherwise, we're just going to let it be what it is. But yeah, Brate Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on Spreaker, where my podcasts are posted. As always, be good, be blessed, stay positive, do the right thing, don't get involved with the ignorance. Simps and Derps are going to be who they are. All you can do is be you and focus on you. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.